A clear sky hangs above Tokyo Bay as a large aircraft descends toward Haneda Airport. Its approach is steady, deliberate, and symbolic of the weight of the trip it carries. The arrival marks the second stop on a multi-day tour across Asia by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. The visit is part of a schedule that spans diplomacy, security dialogue, ceremonial meetings, and efforts to clarify strategic alignments in a region where alliances are being tested and recalibrated. Today's landing sets the stage for meetings with Japan's leadership, including an audience with Emperor Naruhito and a formal discussion with the newly appointed Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi. The aircraft taxis slowly along the runway, its presence carrying both familiarity and significance. The United States and Japan share one of the world's most stable strategic partnerships, yet the context around this visit is shaped by shifting power balances in the Indo-Pacific region. Ongoing tensions in the South China Sea, renewed missile tests from North Korea, and the continued global competition involving Washington and Beijing make the timing of this visit notable. Every gesture, meeting, and policy statement will be watched closely by governments, analysts, and observers across the region. The stairs are positioned next to the aircraft door, and soon the US president steps out. The scene is orderly and precise. A few officials stand ready to greet him, saluting protocol that has been practiced and refined across decades of diplomatic history. There is no crowd, no public spectacle here. This is the quiet choreography of statecraft, meant to convey both respect and seriousness. The president acknowledges the reception with a wave, moving with an expression that suggests awareness of the importance of the moment. The arrival marks the continuation of an agenda that began earlier in Southeast Asia. Each stop on this tour has been designed with a particular sequence in mind, forming an arc of diplomatic outreach intended to reaffirm alliances and signal US presence in a region increasingly defined by strategic competition. Japan remains central to that effort. It is not merely a partner or a regional influence. It is a nation that has shaped the broader security structure of East Asia for generations. The United States maintains military bases here, cooperates on advanced defense technology, and engages in a long-standing framework of security agreements. These shared commitments represent continuity, but the region is changing, and this visit comes at a moment when some of those assumptions are being questioned, reviewed, and updated. The president walks toward a waiting helicopter positioned nearby. The movement is smooth and direct, reflecting a schedule that will bring him from the airport to central Tokyo. The urban landscape that awaits is one of gleaming towers, disciplined transportation flows, and understated ceremonial dignity. Tokyo is a city that hosts diplomacy with precision. It is a place where gestures, language, and protocol are treated with care. In the coming hours, the president will meet Emperor Naruhito. This audience is highly symbolic. The emperor does not engage directly in political negotiation, yet the meeting carries cultural and diplomatic weight. It is a gesture of respect between states and a reaffirmation of ties that have been maintained through periods of transformation in the global order. Ceremonial meetings like this remind both sides of the history of cooperation and the shared interest in regional stability. Following the visit with the emperor, the president is scheduled to meet Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi. Her leadership marks a notable era in Japanese politics. She has brought forward positions that emphasize national security, technological independence, and reinforcement of alliances. The discussions with the US president are expected to explore topics ranging from defense readiness and supply chain cooperation to trade relations and diplomatic alignment concerning regional tensions. The substance of these conversations will not only shape bilateral ties, but also influence wider dynamics in the Indo-Pacific. The helicopter lifts and moves steadily towards central Tokyo. The city below is orderly, dense, and reflective of Japan's role as a global economic and technological center. The coordination between American and Japanese security services is visible but discreet. Motorcades will move later through carefully secured routes, connecting the airport to the Imperial Palace and the Prime Minister's office. The broader context surrounding this visit involves several key developments. First, the security environment in East Asia is undergoing noticeable change. China's naval activity in contested maritime spaces has increased. North Korea continues to pursue missile systems with longer ranges and greater unpredictability. Regional states have engaged in new levels of military acquisition, training, and strategic planning. These shifts have prompted questions about the balance of deterrence and the future of strategic cooperation across the region. Japan has been re-examining its own security posture, with discussions underway about defense spending and capabilities that would have been considered politically unlikely in previous decades. Second, trade relations remain a central focus. The United States and Japan are deeply intertwined economically, with shared industrial supply chains and investments across multiple sectors. However, global supply chain disruptions and the ongoing competition for technological leadership have introduced new challenges. Semiconductor manufacturing, rare earth resource access, and critical technology export controls have become areas of heightened coordination. Discussions during this visit are likely to address how to secure supply chains, diversify manufacturing networks, and manage technological cooperation in a strategic manner. Third, diplomatic coordination regarding regional crises will be central to the conversations. The Indo-Pacific has become a focal point of global strategic discourse. The term itself reflects a broadened understanding of the interconnectedness between maritime trade routes, economic corridors, and geopolitical influence. The United States has expressed its commitment to maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific, emphasizing rules-based frameworks and the importance of multilateral cooperation. Japan has been both a supporter and a contributor to these efforts, advocating for stability and lawful maritime operations. The diplomatic dialogue during this visit is expected to reinforce these shared positions. As the helicopter reaches its destination, the President will soon begin the ceremonial portion of the visit. The meeting with Emperor Naruhito is conducted with formality and restraint. The setting typically conveys quiet elegance, with carefully arranged seating, respectful greetings, and a sense of continuity with past diplomatic tradition. The significance lies in the symbolism of acknowledging the enduring relationship between two nations that were once adversaries in war and later partners in peace. The United States helped shape the post-war era in Japan, and Japan emerged as an economic and diplomatic leader in the decades following. This meeting honors that history while acknowledging the present. The meeting with Prime Minister Takaichi will take on a different tone. It will be direct, policy-focused, and oriented toward the future. Both sides will present strategic priorities, concerns, and proposals. Defense cooperation discussions may include joint training exercises, advanced missile defense systems, maritime surveillance cooperation, and information sharing frameworks. The two nations are also likely to reaffirm their commitments to working through regional bodies and partnerships, where appropriate, balancing national strategies with broader collective approaches. Public statements following these meetings may speak of partnership, mutual respect, and shared priorities. Such language is familiar in diplomatic communication, but behind those phrases lie real questions about how the region will address the challenges ahead. The Indo-Pacific is increasingly defined by maritime territories, technology competition, and political influence. Securing stability requires constant coordination, clear communication, and aligned expectations. Throughout this visit, there will be attention on how both sides describe their approach to China. While neither government seeks to frame the region solely through the lens of rivalry, the strategic reality is that China's growing military and economic power sits at the center of many regional calculations. Statements may emphasize cooperation where possible, deterrence where necessary, and dialogue where beneficial. The tone and phrasing of these discussions will be examined closely by political and military observers. There is also the matter of North Korea. Missile tests have been conducted near Japanese waters, and the unpredictability of the situation remains a significant concern. Coordination between the United States, Japan, and South Korea has been a consistent theme in managing this challenge. The visit offers an opportunity to review joint responses and reinforce diplomatic and defense mechanisms intended to prevent escalation and maintain stability. As the day progresses, the schedule continues in a measured sequence. There are private discussions, press availabilities, and internal briefings. The atmosphere remains formal, reflecting the seriousness with which these matters are treated. There is an awareness that diplomacy in this region is not merely about managing bilateral ties, but about shaping the broader strategic environment. This visit also highlights the human dimension of diplomacy. Behind policy statements and strategic assessments are relationships between leaders, advisors, ministers, and diplomats. These relationships form the channels through which communication flows, where trust can be built or tested. The meetings today contribute to these longer-term dynamics. The tone of the dialogue, the clarity of the positions, and the mutual understanding of priorities all influence future coordination. As evening approaches, Tokyo transitions from the structured movements of official state meetings to a quieter pace. Yet the implications of the day's events continue to resonate. The visit signals commitment to alliance stability and regional engagement. It reassures those who depend on a predictable strategic environment. It communicates resolve to those who may seek advantage through disruption or coercion. The United States and Japan maintain a partnership that has endured through economic cycles, leadership changes, and geopolitical shifts. The alliance is anchored in shared interests, legal frameworks, and consistent coordination. The visit reaffirms those foundations while acknowledging that the international environment continues to evolve. The continued dialogue between these nations will play a central role in shaping outcomes across the region. As the schedule transitions toward the next destinations on the tour, the significance of this stop remains clear. It represents a moment of reaffirmation, alignment, and preparation. For observers around the world, this visit serves as a reminder that diplomacy is not simply a matter of public statements, but a continuous process requiring presence, attention, and commitment. The aircraft will depart again as the tour continues. But today's arrival in Tokyo stands as a marker in a longer narrative of strategic partnership. The conversations held here will influence not only bilateral relations, but the broader security and diplomatic architecture of the Indo-Pacific. In a time of shifting balances and emerging challenges, such moments carry weight that extends well beyond the runway where this journey began.